Welcome to Stereo 3D Productions, everyone. I can't stall for too long. I recently started a new Let's Play series of Bioshock Infinite with VorpX on the sister channel, and I've made quite a few discoveries with the game, enough so that I now have a mess of setup instructions scattered across 4 different videos, and it's time we consolidate in one ultimate guide. So let's not stall any longer, let's go and set up Bioshock Infinite for VorpX once and for all. Before we jump in at full speed, keep in mind that these setups are subject to future changes, and if this is to happen, I'll either put a note at the top of the description of this video, or I'll pin a comment about either an update, a new video follow-up, or a whole new guide altogether. Either way, if you don't see a pin or a note at the top of the description, keep on watching, you're in the right spot. Side note, all of the instructions in this video are summarized in a Google Drive PDF document that is linked in the description of this video. Those instructions should always be the very latest version of our setup, since I can update that file without having to change the actual link. If you're in a hurry and don't want to use this video, or you just want to use this video as visual aid for the text instructions, go ahead and get a copy of that document. Last thing before we start, yes, this setup is classic seated VR, where you have to play with a gamepad or with mouse and keyboard. I cannot stress enough how you should not let that put you off from this experience. The most immersive aspect of VR, the stereoscopic visuals, are in full display here. Bioshock Infinite is a jaw-dropper just by the sheer fact of pretending to exist in it visually. While I can't deny motion controls would be cool here, UEVR injector, Unreal 3 support, Prey Dog, they are definitely not required. Despite being seated VR, just like Alien Isolation and Hellblade VR, this retrofit setup is one of the best VR titles out there. Trust me, I wouldn't be making this video and going through all this trouble if it weren't that good. Before we get to the actual game, we're going to take care of one prerequisite right away. This game will be running in windowed mode, and with the latest setups, we can run at pretty high resolutions. The issue being is if the window is larger than your desktop resolution, this will cause problems. So if your desktop runs at anything below 2160p or 4K, you're going to need to use either nVidia DSR or AMD VSR to enforce a 4K desktop resolution. If your desktop does run at 4K already, then you can ignore this step. For NVIDIA cards, to enable NVIDIA DSR, Dynamic Super Resolution, do the following. Open the NVIDIA control panel by right-clicking an empty desktop area and clicking NVIDIA control panel. Go to Manage 3D Settings. Under the Global Settings tab for a native 1080p monitor, set DSR factors to 1.78x for 1440p to become available, and 2.0x for 2160p to become available. Apply the settings and close the panel when you're done. For AMD cards, I'm going to link you to a video by GreaterThanPie, who shows you how to enable AMD VSR, Virtual Super Resolution, because I don't have a rig with an AMD GPU available, and so I figure I'd let someone that uses one show you how to do this. After enabling either, you should be able to switch to 2560 by 1440 or 3840 by 2160. Right-click on an empty desktop area and then select Display Settings. Select your primary display in the window. Make note of the current resolution setting, then change it to 2560 by 1440 or 3840 by 2160. Hit Keep Changes at the next dialog. Last but not least, make sure that scaling is set to 100%. If it's not, just set it to 100%. You'll need your desktop preferably at 3840 by 2160 when launching this game in VR, and you can revert it back to its native resolution when you're done. With the prerequisite out of the way, first we need to get Bioshock Infinite ready for use with VorpX. We won't have much to do. Launch the game normally on the desktop, then hop into the options, then go into graphics. First, have the game running in windowed mode. Resolution doesn't matter for now. With graphics quality on custom, you can tweak a few settings to make sure the game is less demanding in VR. If you're running Generation 2 and 3 headsets like the Index or the Quest 3, keep the anti-aliasing as this one is actually not bad. On older headsets like the Vive or the Rift, it might not make a difference visually, so you may want to turn it off for a few extra frames. Texture detail and texture filtering can stay as high as you want, even on older systems. This game is not memory heavy. Dynamic shadows are a cost that is often squandered through VorpX, as some scenes have those disabled. You can go as low as normal and still won't be missing out visually, all while getting back quite a bit of performance. Keep post-processing on normal for better results. Ambient occlusion is a setting you should outright disable. It's expensive, and it actually looks like this game already has some very pretty baked AO, so why not save ourselves quite a few frames? Object level of detail is another setting that can make a big performance difference, but at a visual cost. Normal should look and run the best. Make sure lock frame rate is not enabled, and slide that field of view slider all the way to the max. Yes, this is extreme, but VorpX is going to use every pixel of this. Keep in mind that if you ever change these settings while the game is running through VorpX in the future, the game's resolution will break and a game restart will be required. I made sure this setup wouldn't outright break from setting changes, making everyone's lives easier, but you still will have to restart the game every time you change graphics settings. Okay, leave the game now, it's time to start getting set up with VorpX. From here on, you should set your desktop to run at 3840 by 2160 with the scaling at 100%. This is where the DSR and VSR instructions we showed earlier should come in handy. The game window will exceed even 1440p desktops in most cases, so we need to have a desktop large enough to accommodate the full game window. Make sure that if you already run at 2160p, that you have the scaling set to 100%, as anything higher will also cause problems. Get VorpX and your VR runtimes ready, whether it be SteamVR, Quest Link, or Virtual Desktop. Make sure you have VorpX configured to use the runtimes you're launching. Pro tip, if you want to use Virtual Desktop, pick OpenXR as the runtime mode. After everything is up and running, launch Bioshock Infinite, which should immediately get hooked into by VorpX, and it should show up in your headset during the opening logos. Once you get to the title screen, guess what? Leave the game. Yeah, do nothing. Get out. VorpX does an initial pass of settings changes to the game that are required for proper functionality, and so you absolutely can't make any settings changes to VorpX yet without restarting the game at least once, so we're going to quit out. We're going to then hop right back into the game by relaunching it immediately. We're still not ready to play. We have to make a few VorpX changes that will then incur another game restart. Once you're at the title screen, press the delete key to bring up the VorpX HUD. From the HUD, under main settings, set 3D strength/scale to 0.8. See, this game has amazing geometry 3D support, the realest form of 3D out there, but the strength is too high at 1.0 and gives a sort of dollhouse look to the game. Setting strength/scale to 0.8 will prevent the game world and assets from looking miniaturized and should give a realistic impression of world scale. Next, navigate to DirectVR settings. First, set Use Positional DirectVR to off. This option currently has issues with this game that results in micro stutters and crashes, so we do not want it enabled. After, set FOV adjustment to -5.0. This step exists because currently VorpX calculates the field of view for this game incorrectly, specifically it overshoots it a little bit. This setting will compensate for that. There will be a pinned comment in this video that I'll use for updates. I expect VorpX will correct this FOV bug soon, so when it happens, I'll update the pinned comment about it. Go check the comments now to see the status of this issue. When the issue will be resolved, you'll be able to leave FOV adjustment to 0 after updating. Next, pick your game resolution. We have a few choices, but I'll give you my recommendations along with their expected resolution numbers. Yeah, this is not optimal. VorpX uses a set of named tiers representing pixel densities for resolution rather than fixed values, so tuning for performance can get annoying. Fortunately, I did all the testing for you guys, and here's what I found. Use decent, about 1600 by 1200, on systems with a GTX 1070 or below. Use nice, about 1920 by 1440, on systems with a GTX 1080 or above. Use nicer, about 2100 by 1700, on systems with an RTX 2080 or above. Use great, about 2200 by 1800, on systems with an RTX 4080 or above. Personally, because of the demand of recording video and the desire not to lower graphics any further, I run at a value of nicer on an RTX 4080, although I have used great as well. Once you pick your resolution, hit the OK and Save button. Now we have to quit the game one last time, and we can either come right back, do a direct VR scan and play, or we can add an additional optional step that will greatly improve the setup. Let's take a look at this optional step now. The following step is optional and involves installing a third-party community-made mod on the game. If you don't want to do this, just skip to the next chapter in this video as the instructions remain the same from there. Bioshock Infinite has two big issues with the field of view in VR. When you sprint, the game increases the field of view gradually, then brings it back gradually when you stop sprinting. When you use aim-down sights, it looks terrible as the field of view becomes extremely narrow. There is a relatively new mod for Bioshock Infinite that was made specifically to eliminate these issues. It's not designed for our VR adaptation, but it happens to suit it perfectly. This step of the setup is optional and you can skip it, but I cannot stress how much I recommend this. Modern Warfare not only eliminates any remaining field of view issues in VR, but it even removes the head bob and some silly excessive depth of field scenarios. First, you'll want to get a copy of the mod. We've created our own copy, which is going to be linked through Google Drive in the description of this video and in our setup document. Our copy only has two differences from the original mod. We removed the sound replacements as we don't want those, trust me, they're jarring, and we pre-configured the INI file to work with VorpX perfectly out of the box rather than having you viewers change values manually in the file. Download the archive and extract it somewhere. Navigate to the folder Modern Warfare 1.3 contained inside the archive. Copy all the files in there. Next, find the root of your copy of Bioshock Infinite. In Steam, just right-click the game, go Manage, then Browse Local Files. This will open the root of the game. From there, navigate to Binaries, then to Win32. Finally, paste the mod files we just copied into this folder. Voila! Modern Warfare is now installed on your copy of Bioshock Infinite. Keep in mind that next time you start Bioshock Infinite with VorpX, VorpX will complain about a potentially conflicting DLL file. Don't worry about that, the DLL was proven not to interfere with VorpX, rather it seems to be working very well with it. Side note, if you ever want to remove the mod, repeat all these steps, copying the files, pasting in Win32, and this time allowing overwriting, but after pasting and overwriting the files, delete the files that are selected after the copy finishes. This will remove strictly the mod files and nothing else, resulting in an easy uninstallation. Whether you choose to install Modern Warfare or not, the following step is the same for everyone. Launch Bioshock Infinite with VorpX, and yes, by the way, this is the last time we restart. Go ahead and load into a game, and wait for a moment where no cutscenes are playing, and a moment where you have full control of your player character. Yes, it sucks that you have to wait for the boat ride to finish before doing this, but it's the way it has to be. Once you're free to move about and have no adversity to deal with, press the delete key to bring up the VorpX HUD and use the Direct VR scan button. The scan shouldn't take long, the only important scan at this point is rotation. Don't move your mouse or use your gamepad during this part, and friendly but annoying reminder, make sure to never use the scan during a cutscene, or especially not at the title screen. The scan will complete and you are now officially ready to play Bioshock Infinite with absolutely no issues whatsoever, other than very minor things we'll point out later in this video. By the way, VorpX experiences can have a lot of time warp in them, a sort of real-time stabilization, and sometimes this can result in the image edges coming into view. To minimize this, open the VorpX menu and under Main Settings, hit the More Full VR Settings button. Then you can set background to ambiance. This will help mask the time warp and eliminate any unnecessary distractions. Remember that when you start the game up in the future, you'll have to run a direct VR scan once each time you load into a save. That's it. Whichever route you took, Vanilla VorpX or Modern Warfare mod, you're good to finally start playing Bioshock Infinite in absolutely divine virtual reality. While we're done with the whole setup, I do have to give heads up about a few known issues with this game. None of these are major or complicated in any way, but I do want you to know about them. First, at the Raffle Square ball choice scene, it's possible that the game will get stuck in limbo between the cutscene and the choice selection for throwing number 77. If this happens, open the VorpX menu with your delete key, navigate to Direct VR Settings, and toggle the setting Memory Scan Apply to off and back to on. You don't need to restart, quit, or reload. The game should resume working normally. Use this trick if any other choice scene gets stuck at any point. Second, and this is an issue that gets partly helped by Modern Warfare, aim down sights sucks. Modern Warfare does fix the field of view for those, but it's still awkward to use and the sniper rifle is completely hopeless in all cases. The cool thing is, through my first playthrough in 2017, and now my second playthrough in 2025, hip firing has not stopped me 1 second from using all the weapons to their fullest. I can even use the traditional positional tracking to line up my aim physically, which is quite awesome. Either way, avoiding ADS is recommended. Also important, some indoor areas of the game can look dark and void of effects. This is because VorpX disables dynamic lights by default for this game. In some sections like Monument Tower, we recommend temporarily enabling these shadows and lights. Press the delete key to bring up the VorpX menu, and under Image Settings, set G3D Shadow Treatment to Auto. Keep in mind this setting will feature more dynamic light interactions, but will come with a few eyesore shadows and effects. This depends on the area in the game. If you enter an area with too many eyesores, change G3D Shadow Treatment to Turn Off and toggle it back to Auto later on. Finally, the Quest 3's aggressive vertical field of view results in having a visible gap at the bottom of the image with the VorpX stock resolution. Optionally, if you're using Quest 3, while the game is running with VorpX, open the VorpX HUD by pressing the delete key and go to Direct VR Settings. Set the value Change Game Resolution to Off. We're going to make an INI file edit that would otherwise get overridden by VorpX, and this will avoid that conflict from happening. Now, quit the game. With the game not running, locate its xuseroptions.ini file. I'll put the path on screen. Open this file in Notepad and set the desired resolution. For an RTX 4070 or above, set Resolution X to 2200 and Resolution Y to 2000. For lower spec, set Resolution X to 1980 and Resolution Y to 1800. Save the changes to the file and close it. If you ever make changes to the game settings, you'll lose the custom values and will need to repeat this edit to restore it. Fun thing is, you can pretty much run at any resolution you want with this trick, and it'll work on all headsets just the same. Also, you don't need to change the VorpX or Modern Warfare configurations for this to work. That's it for the known issues with this game, and it's crazy how few there are and how easy they are to deal with. Bioshock Infinite isn't just one of the earliest games I tried with VorpX, but it's one that only became possible to play thanks to the introduction of VorpX's direct VR features. I completed the whole campaign in VR back in 2017 with the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift. It remained one of my favorite VR games without actually having VR support, and it's a game that kept beckoning for years until I finally caved with the Quest 3 and started my playthrough from the top. This is one of my best decisions of 2025, along with restarting Resident Evil 7 from the top, also in VR. I cannot stress how this game has now come with an emotional payload. Right off part 1 of the new series, the game knocked the wind out of me completely during the ascent when I flew into Colombia. Returning here has been an inexplicable treat, and while my seated VR control skills are a bit rusty compared to the no crosshair Shadow Warrior days, that rust is coming off faster and faster, and I'm genuinely having an experience that, thanks to improvements with VorpX, improvements with the hardware, is honestly delivering far greater than my original playthrough. And I loved my original playthrough. In this new run, I'm being bombarded with several goosebump-inducing, death-gripping moments, reliving the game with a graphical fidelity that now challenges reality. All the old 2017 issues with the field of view are gone. The game feels seamless and constant throughout, and it's easy to let several hours slip in this masterpiece. This experience has literally forced my hand to make this guide. Yeah, VorpX still exists. Yes, especially with our new super high-resolution headsets, it's still relevant. It might not have the black magic motion control abilities that UEVR Injector has, but it's a jack of all trades, and as far as seated VR goes, it's a master of Bioshock Infinite. I don't just hope you join me on Stereo 3D Plays to enjoy this game series. Man, you need to play this for yourselves. If you already have VorpX, do yourself a favor, dust off the old copy of VorpX and hop into Bioshock Infinite. I know it's a bit of an investment for just one game, but yeah, it sounds crazy to say. I would actually recommend buying VorpX just on how good this game works with it. No joke. Don't be put off by the fact that this doesn't come with motion controller support. I understand that for some it might not be quite as immersive, but Columbia and everything in Bioshock Infinite is so uniquely well presented that we simply don't need motion controls. We just need to be visually wrapped into the game for it to rock our world. Believe me when I say it could become one of your favorite VR experiences too. Either way, I will in fact be continuing this series on Stereo 3D Plays, and I don't think it'll take me anywhere near as long as the first run, only because the pace has been rather blistering. When I play, I can't seem to be able to put the damn thing down, and I end up with a mountain of video to edit. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this setup guide. I hope you use it on your copy of Bioshock Infinite. This has been Stereo 3D Productions, and that's all I got for you tonight, folks. Thanks for watching all the way. That is always awesome. I'll see you soon.